Hello and Merry Christmas. You're watching Christmas Memories and Traditions. I'm Bob, and my friend Patrick's here. And sometimes when I used to host family radio shows to look at Christmas lights, I went by the moniker Bells on Bobtail Ring. So I'm Bells on Bobtail Ring, and
I'm just Patrick.
you're just Patrick. Well, you probably already noticed some of the places on my page. We have some shows posted of nursing homes. Well, Patrick helped me on December 17th of this year, and things were going good at all three of them, and they went splendidly well until I recorded the last one and I went to my phone and saw, oh, the last two songs aren't there.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd start the show by doing those songs you missed, and then we'll talk a little bit after that, and we'll share some Christmas memories and traditions and such, and we'll just have a fun time on Christmas Day 2022. So let's start with this old song, Beautiful Star of Bethlehem. The older generation likes this because it connects way back to the Stamps Baxter days of music.
Oh, beautiful star of Bethlehem, shining afar through shadows dim, giving a light for those who long have gone, and guiding the wise men on their way unto the place where Jesus lay. Beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine on. Oh, beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine upon us until the glory dawn. Oh, give us thy light to light the way into the land of perfect day. Beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine on. Oh, beautiful star, the hope of light, guiding the pilgrim through the night, over the mountain till the break of dawn, and into the light of perfect day, it will give out a lovely ray. Beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine on. Oh, beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine upon us until the glory dawn. Oh, give us thy light to light the way into the land of perfect day. Beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine on.
How about a turnaround? Just like the old quartet days, when the pianists would do the turnaround.
Oh, beautiful star, the hope of rest for the redeemed, the good and blessed. Yonder in glory when the crown is won. For Jesus is now that star divine, brighter and brighter he will shine. Beautiful star of Bethlehem,
I remember this next song that we're going to do because in 2016, it was my daddy's last Christmas. He was in the nursing home at Joplin Gardens. I did a Christmas program, and you came over and sung this song. I think we actually first learned this song about 2014. Tell them how you came across this song.
Well, I go to College Heights Christian Church, and back when we had a choir and I was in it, we were doing a musical for Christmas, and this song, Beyond the Manger, was in that collection. And I think it was slated for a woman to sing, but that hasn't usually stopped me. And
tenors are comparable to sopranos, usually an octave apart, maybe.
Sure. And so I asked if it would be possible to try out for it. They said yes, and so I was able to sing this song. And then when the Missourians were looking for another Christmas song to sing,
added that.
I thought this would be a good song, and so we changed the key and worked it out and
made a nice arrangement.
Yeah.
And Beyond the Manger is the cross. I like, of course, Jesus Christmas songs, but I like songs that don't just have sweet little baby in the manger. That he came to earth not just for that, but for the rest of the story, to die on the cross for our sins and our salvation, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And this song starts out with the old hymn, At the Cross.
Sweet little child in Mary's arms, the precious babe of Bethlehem, sent to reveal the Father's heart, a love that we can't comprehend, so bittersweet those first few hours to see his tiny hands and feet, for they would feel sin's dreadful power upon a hill called Calvary. Beyond the manger stood the cross, awaiting him the awful cost, born to die and save the lost. Beyond the manger stood the cross. The angels sang, the earth rejoiced, the shepherds knelt to see his face. But while they praised this baby boy, a shadow fell across them. Those rugged timbers brought him down from heaven's royal throne above, to where a lowly sinner's crown, to bear our shame
that song. That's dramatic, and it gets to the top of your tenor range too. Even after eating a Christmas dinner, you can still get those high notes. That's pretty cool. And I was thinking earlier today of some memories, and when I was little, and look, it's 5 o'clock and the outside and Christmas lights are turning on. I just got that in my peripheral. When I was little, my brother's 10 years older than me and sister 14. So say when I was 5, they were 15 and 19, and they'd be wanting to come downstairs early to do Christmas. And Mom and Dad didn't want us down there that early because they were sleeping. So what would they do? They'd push me down the stairs and come all the way to Mom and Dad's room and say, go in there and tell them we want to get up. And then without them being in on it, I'd wake up Mom and Dad, can we get up and open presents? Of course, I was the baby, the baby. And so they would say, oh, come on, so we'd go in and open presents just at my prompting. So I thought, you were telling me a while ago when you would take trips to your in-laws down in Texas, when your daughter Kristen was very young, you thought of a neat memory that's still connected to your Christmases today.
Oh yes, we saw a craft thing online, and thought, well, that looks like it would be kind of fun to do, and we had actually started it. We got a large spool of twine, and we cut strips of different kinds of colored material, Christmas material, and in about 1 inch by 12-inch strips, and we would tie those onto the twine.
Yeah.
And then we'd slide them down to the end and tie another one on, slide it down, and we were doing that, and then it came time to go to my mother and father-in-law's house in Texas. Well, that's 11 to 13 hour drive, and so we loaded everything up in the car and the twine and all the material, and so whoever was sitting in the back and whoever was in the passenger seat worked on both ends of the
the driver wasn't in on it, I hope,
of the rag garland. No. And so by the time we had driven down there and back, we had this huge long piece of rag garland, and we still have that hanging in our house every Christmas across the front windows, between the living room and dining room area, and all around our kitchen. It hangs this rag garland. Then I hang bulbs and stuff in the middle,
decorate it,
around, and it's real pretty, and it looks real country.
And aren't I right? The reason for going down there was your in-laws. They're both deceased now, right?
They are.
So when you hang that up, you probably think of them and get memories of them, don't you?
Oh, yes, we have memories of them all the time. But every other year we would go down to their house for Christmas, and so that was just one thing we chose to do that particular Christmas, and so.
Well, that's neat. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming over and sharing with us, and you said you cooked for your family today. I've heard that you cook for some of your siblings around that are coming at all the holidays you host, but it was a little more low key for Christmas this year.
This Christmas was just me and Rita and my son-in-law and daughter and my grandkids.
And the whole reason for existing, the grandkids, right?
Yeah. They actually were able to stay home for Christmas this year, so instead of going to the other grandparent, and so we were happy about that.
Well, thanks for stopping by. Let's see if it's recorded those 2 songs. I bet it has today. It has. So thank you, Pratt.
That's awesome.
Thanks for being my friend.
Sure.
And Merry Christmas and
Merry
Happy New Year. We'll be in touch. Maybe get him back in to do some more music in the future. So good to see you. Did you bring a jacket in?
Yeah.
He's going to go on, and I'm just going to do a little bit of other songs. Like I was saying, I've done some nursing home shows this season, and then I had some songs that I like to play every year that I didn't even get to this year. And I thought, well, what a better forum than to do this with you. And one of the traditions I remember is sometimes when things slow down. Bye, Patrick. Thanks. When things slow down, I like to watch Christmas movies. Well, in about 88, 89, along in that zone, I had a friend and she said, "Do you watch It's a Wonderful Life?" I'm like, "No, I've never seen it." I'm like, "Oh," she's like, "Okay." Well, next week I saw her and she had a VHS tape of It's a Wonderful Life. Well, I got freed on Christmas Eve, so I watched it on Christmas Eve that first time. And guess what? It became a tradition. I watched it every year on Christmas Eve. Okay? And I still watch it to this day on Christmas Eve. Now, let me tell you what I think about, though. Things like that spur memories. When I get done with It's a Wonderful Life, it's, late afternoon, Christmas Eve, and for years, since I'm single and don't have immediate family, I would always go over to mom and dad's house for Christmas Eve, and we would do our gifts then. So when I see the ending of It's a Wonderful Life, I'm like, time for presents, mom and dad, time for presents. And when I watched it this year, time for presents, mom and dad, it just like had that inner thing going. And something we would do with mom and dad, this song here is my favorite version of Go Tell It on the Mountain. Now, there's a lot of Christmas songs that, since I'm a pianist, I'll have several versions of the same song. And sometimes I'll play, well, what version do I want to do? And I'll do this. But once I really got into this Go Tell It on the Mountain, I never play another version. And this one, I actually recorded on my Christmas cassette back in 1982. I've made 10 recordings for Christmas, more than any other genre. So yes, I love Christmas music. And here it says at the top, Christmas concert, Christmas afternoon, 1994. There were 2 years, me and my siblings and my nieces and nephews and stuff, we did a Christmas concert for mom and dad. My brother and sister got out their trumpet and flute from their high school days and brought that back. Nieces sung, we had trios. It was just a fun time. And of course I played. And I played this back then and I still play it today. Go Tell on the Mountain. In fact, I use it for a prelude at church this morning on Christmas morning. A little bit jazzy. Go Tell on the Mountain. This book is old. Take a look at this cover of this book. Is that not sweet? It looks like the olden style way of wrapping presents. And just as I was playing that, I was thinking, hey, the Santas need to entertain us a little bit. At least maybe you can see a little bit of light. And on another episode, I did my Christmas light tour and showed some of my decorations. I like these. So look that up if you've not seen that. I had a friend at church commenting about that today. He's like, well, Bob, maybe you should spend more time showing us all your Santas. Oh, I'm like, oh, really? He's like, no, just kidding. So anyway, in 1988, I started a tradition that actually has morphed into the nursing home concerts today. And because I like music so much, that makes a vibration on the piano, and that will bug me more than anything. So I'll move that. Set this over here. Well, we'll move it later. Anyway, in 1988, I moved out from my parents' house. And, being a pianist, I was always practicing all the time, and they would hear it. Well, I moved out in May, and by December, I was having a conversation with Mom. She says, we're just not hearing piano music around the house. It's hard to adjust to because always hearing you practice. And especially at Christmas time, I miss you playing the Christmas songs. I'm saying, well, maybe, we can do something about that one day. Well, in my mind, that sparked an idea, and I decided I would surprise them on Christmas morning. Mom was cooking dinner, and Dad was preparing for the day. The rest of the family was coming over for dinner afternoon. And so I went over there and did a Christmas morning concert in 1988. And so that really pleased them, and they were happy that I did that. And guess what? Every year since, I continued to do that. They were in that house until 95. And that year, I set up recording equipment and recorded Christmas Morning Live, as I call it. That was one Christmas album I made. Then they moved the next year, and I continued it in that house. Continued doing that for them. And once in a while, they would invite a guest, like an elderly friend or somebody they knew was alone on Christmas. Mom would tell them about me playing on Christmas morning. They would want in on it. We'd have different guests, including one of my dear friends has just passed away this year. So my friend Lou in heaven, I think of him on Christmas morning concerts. But Mom passed away in October 2013. So I knew I wanted to play for Dad on Christmas morning, but I didn't just want to go over and play for him. I thought it might be kind of sad, So I said, Daddy, let's do something different this year. Why don't we still have music on Christmas morning, but you come over to my house? He's like, okay. And I said, can we invite some friends and neighbors that don't have anything going on in the morning? I invited my dear friends, the Scotts that lived here many years, and some other neighbors, and Daddy came over. We had just a big old time in this living room. By the next year, I think we had breakfast, and it got as big as 10 or 12 guests on Christmas morning. So we did that in 2013, 14, and 15. Well, in 2016, Daddy was in the nursing home and not doing very well health-wise. So I knew I had to play for Christmas for Daddy. They had a grand piano in the lobby at Jotham Gardens, and you've seen it if you watched any of my nursing home shows. And it was just tuned this year, the day before we played it, so it sounded awesome. But Daddy sat right beside me there in his wheelchair, and we had the room full of people watching, residents and guests that came, and some of the people that had been coming on Christmas morning to my house came there then. And Patrick just sung that song a while ago at that event. Well, Daddy passed away the next month. But get this, friends, this is my favorite part of the day. My favorite part of the day is Christmas Eve was when we did it that year, because just like this year, Christmas was on Sunday. And on the afternoon of Christmas Eve in 2016, I went back and visited with Daddy at his room. And I said, "Did you enjoy the concert today and have a good time?" "Oh, yeah, yeah, it was good." And I said, "Well, Daddy, you're probably not going to be with us too much longer. How would you think about me continuing to play Christmas music here at the Joplin Gardens for the residents every year?" And he's like, "I don't care what you do. I'll be in heaven. Do what you want." So, friends, I started doing what I wanted. In 2017, I played there. And by the next season, I was doing nursing home shows at multiple places, including Joplin Gardens, and we're up to 6 now. My friend Mike Greenstreet did a lot of them with me, and I'll talk to you more about him in a moment. But I want to play for you a song I haven't played this year, and I've been playing this one since about 1985, and it was recorded once. I called it, A Christmas Gift, 1987. So by the third year of playing this, I made an album. God Rest You Merry Gentlemen. It's probably the most classical sounding Christmas song I regularly play. I like it. That was an arrangement by Dino Katsanakis, the Greek pianist born in New York City that has toured the country, used to have Branson shows and all that. I like that one. Uh, let's see. Well, as I said, I've recorded more Christmas albums than any other kind of music, and I like Christmas music. I have a big collection of records, vinyl records, cassettes, no 8 tracks, CDs, and all that, and I like to listen to them all every year. Well, as the years went by and I had more, guess what? Well, then I would have to start listening early every year. So now I start listening to Christmas music on October 1 usually to get it all in, and I finish up about the second week of January to do it all. But and the issue this year was I do not have any functioning cassette players now. I started the season with 3, and now they've all broke down. So I did not complete my cassettes this year, but that made it easier to get everything else done. Anyway, I like listening to Christmas music. And this makes me think of my friend Mike Greenstreet. He started doing the nursing home shows with me and just came on as a guest to do 3 songs here and there. And about 3 or 4 shows in, I said, "Mike, why don't we start dividing this up more and you do more songs?" He's like, "How many would you like me to do?" Well, he had been doing 3, so I was thinking maybe double it. Well, I said, well, maybe 6 or 8. And when he come to practice, of course, he had 8. So that was pretty equal status, and we had a great time doing music together. During COVID, we stopped going to the nursing homes, but we even did Christmas concerts at some churches that year. And last New Year's Eve, we did it last Christmas as well, but last New Year's Eve, I did a gig with him. We did some summer gigs. It was a really good year, and he suddenly passed away this summer, right before our patriotic shows around the July 4th time. So since then, I've had guests come in, like Patrick that sung a while ago, and some of them are posted online. So So check that out. But yeah, I always try at every program to do a classic country or a country gospel type of song. And Mike never sung this song, but guess what? I was going to ask him to do it this year. I had been thinking about getting him doing this old Eddie Arnold song. Now, I'm a musician. I play the piano, and I'm not a singer. And see, I know enough about music to know I'm not a singer. But yet, I can sing better than some people who think they're a singer. Guess what? They don't know as much about music. And since I hung out with Mike, I started singing harmony. And that's fun to sing harmony. It's in my head, even if it doesn't come out of my mouth really beautifully. But I thought, hey, it's just us. I'm going to sing this old song from 1949. Eddie Arnold wrote the music. Jenny Lou Carson wrote the lyric. And Eddie recorded it years ago. My mom and dad loved this song. And when I was in elementary school, our children's choir at church sung it. So see, I have all these memories that connect to music. And when I hear this, I think of children's choir singing Christmas. Would you allow me to sing it for you? Please fast forward if you don't like what you hear. When I was but a youngster, Christmas meant one thing, that I'd be getting lots of toys that day. I learned a whole lot different when Mother set me down and taught me to spell Christmas this way. C is for the Christ child, born upon this day. H for herald angels in the night. R means our Redeemer. I means Israel. S is for the star that shone so bright. T is for three wise men, they who traveled far. M is for the manger where he lay. A's for all he stands for. S means shepherds came, and that's why there's a Christmas Day. T is for three wise men, they who traveled far. M is for the manger where he lay. A's for all he stands for. S means shepherds came, and that's why there's a Christmas Day. Don't you like that old song? Hopefully you tolerated the way I sang it. But anyway, as I mentioned earlier, I like to watch Christmas movies around this time of year. And one of the things, after my brother left the area and moved to Coffeyville, Kansas, I would always go out there a few days before Christmas to visit with them. We'd go look at Christmas lights and such, watch some Christmas movies. And that was the year that National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation came out, 1989. We went to, let's see, where did we go? Wasn't in Coffeyville. It was north of Coffeyville. I'm blanking out. We went to another town to the theater and watched it. And by the next year, it was out on VHS. So we watched it when I went out to visit. And guess what? We kept watching it. Even if we had watched other movies, we always watched that. Well, he moved in 2013 to the East Coast. That shot that tradition. No, it didn't. We still do it. This is the 10th annual edition. We just completed it last week of watching the movie simultaneously in our own homes, talking on the phone the whole time. And of course, we had the movie memorized. We quote lines before it happens. We tried doing Zoom this time and it shut us down, and we just called and kept going. So, that is a tradition that I like to do. And when I would go to my brother's, we would always look at Christmas lights one evening. Well, we'd play Christmas music. So imagine driving around in the dark, changing CDs in a 1 CD player in a vehicle, looking for the next tune. My sister-in-law said, Bobby, you need to make a recording of some songs, and then we don't have to change the CD so much. So I made 4.5 hours on 3 90-minute cassettes of just random Christmas songs. Well, guess what they did that year? That was 1997. They kept saying, who is that? Who is that? Who is that? And I would tell them because I remembered from putting it on the tape. And then before we were done that evening, once again, my sister-in-law said, Bobby, why don't you just do it like a radio show and host it, and you can tell us who it was. So from 1998 until 2013, I made a recording that we listened to on the light tour, Christmas light tour. And so that, even though we don't do that anymore, we still get to watch that movie. Now, this song is a classic sheet music. This was my mom's, Frosty the Snowman. And you can see it's been laminated just to preserve it a little bit better. And of course, I always played the 1950 arrangement, which actually sounds good, But one day, about 10 years ago, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm tired of this. And I like the song. I'm going to make a new version. And I had heard a recording of somebody doing it kind of in a Caribbean style. And I thought, well, what would happen if Frosty went to the beach? Well, that's not possible. But this has that sound. Frosty the Snowman, my own arrangement. At the beach, and did you hear him screwing around running to keep from melting? It didn't work. Sorry, he melted. And you can tell I've not played that much this year. I kind of blanked out in that one spot what to even do. But usually when I'm playing it multiple times, it just gets easier and easier to play, because that's kind of an improvisational style there. And anyway, this next song, I noticed when I made this list, the last 4 songs are all in the key of C, which is actually the easiest key on the piano. I guess I just wanted to do easy songs for you today, so I wouldn't mess up. That's fairly coincidental. But this next song, I started piano lessons in 3rd grade, January of 1972. I was like 2 months from being 9. And by the third Christmas, my piano teacher, Kevin Costley from Webb City, got me Silent Night, a transcription for the pianoforte by Clarence Coleman. Yes, this is the original version, and look, it's in pieces. I've never taped it because I didn't want to taint it. But do you know what? I have a newer version of it, and I can't find it. I don't know what's happened to it, so I'm using my original version. Like I said, Christmas music connects me to memories, drastically so. When I was in fifth grade, just been taking piano lessons more than 2 years. I think I advanced pretty fast, probably as a youngster, but there was no way I was playing this. My piano teacher got me this, and he says, well, if we just get the first page this year, we'll work on it next year and the next year, and this will be a big fancy song for you, as he said. I'm sure I couldn't play the first page because it's got a few things that, how would I play it after 2 years? But by the 8th grade, I was really pretty good at this song. And I went to a school back in, I guess this is 1977. In school you could do more Jesus things at Christmas time. I went to Carl Junction Public Schools, and our principal, Ron Morehouse, who recently passed away, he was a great man and a great man of faith. He engineered and put together an assembly for the whole junior high, all 7th and 8th grade, to get together for a Christmas assembly. We didn't have a big enough space at the junior high building to do it. So we marched about 4 or 5 blocks to the nearest church, First Baptist Church, and we filled that sanctuary of 7th and 8th graders. And he asked me, Bob, will you play a song on the piano? A song about Jesus' birth. It was a very spiritual assembly. And like I said, you couldn't get away with doing stuff like that today. So I picked Silent Night and I played it. Well, the next year I was in 9th grade and not in junior high anymore. And I think I remember doing the 7th and 8th grade assembly both, but in 8th grade I played this song. But in 9th grade, I got called to the office in high school, and Mr. Morehouse was there, the junior high principal. He said, we're having a Christmas assembly again, and I want you to come back and play Silent Night. So I went back and played it again. And I think I did that 2 or 3 times for him. And every time I'd ever run into him, he said, oh, I love that Silent Night. I love that Silent Night. So I've been playing this pretty well since 8th grade. Through the years, I've kind of developed my own changes for it and uniqueness about it. But the basic arrangement is still the same. Arrangement that goes back to 1927, in fact. Silent Night. And like I said, that's a song I like to play at Christmas time that I didn't use in any of this year's shows because somebody always sang it. And we sang it together as a group. So thanks for tuning in for this fun Christmas Memories and Traditions episode on Christmas Day 2022 on Bells on Bobtail Ring, signing off with a Christmas wish for everyone. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Arranged by Jim Brickman. These are your napping kind of Christmas songs. So if you've had too much turkey today, just go ahead, nod off. So, I'm going to go have Christmas dinner at my sister's house. You guys, thanks for tuning in, and be sure to like and subscribe to my channel so you'll be notified when we have other programs coming on, and you know it's going to be about music. Happy holidays!